Glaciers were always sort of intellectually interesting, but if they didn't change for hundreds of thousands of years, then maybe it wouldn't be your highest priority. If they're changing on a timescale of 10 years, and in a fashion which has huge societal impact, they suddenly become extremely important. This field is a very interesting example of a scientific field that was actually created by global change.
Understanding the role of polar ice in climate change is an issue of international importance. Ice cover and glaciers are changing throughout the world. They are melting much faster than expected. As a result, ocean levels are rising and threatening populated areas along seacoasts. Collecting accurate measurements of the world's ice has become a critical task. The National Science Foundation is sponsoring a family of related programs that enable the continuous recording and analysis of ice sheet data from remote locations in the Greenland ice sheet and the West Antarctic. The Polar Grid Cyber Infrastructure Project is developing state-of-the-art tools to gather data from remotely placed ice sheet sensors. Scientists from Indiana University and Elizabeth City State University in North Carolina are working together to support the mission of CRESIS, the Center for the Remote Sensing of Ice Sheets. They are providing new electronic infrastructure to rapidly gather ice sheet data from the North and South polar regions. These data can then be quickly analyzed and used by CRESIS scientists to update climate simulations and make real-time adjustments to the sensors themselves. Sensors on the ground gather data on temperature, thickness, and seismic movements. Airborne radar can look deep within the ice. Greenland's ice sheet is deteriorating. The rate at which it's been disappearing has doubled in the last decade. At the same time, sea levels have been rising throughout the world. With the new sensor data assembled by the Polar Grid Project, we can keep closer track of these unusually rapid changes. The great ice sheets of southern Greenland and West Antarctica are known to be disintegrating at unprecedented rates. Existing climate models are inadequate to explain these events and predict future developments. One of the problems is that data sets from these ice sheets are typically collected gradually and shipped to data processing centers after substantial delays. In order to create accurate and up-to-date models, new data must be provided to scientists in real time. Polar Grid will be integrated with the TerraGrid, a coordinated national system that makes the power of large-scale supercomputing and data storage resources available to the scientific community. Researchers involved in ice sheet science will have easy access to advanced computing tools through the TerraGrid.
In very sort of near term, it allows the experimentalists to more easily analyze their data while they're sitting freezing in the Arctic or the Antarctica, and so they can take the most effective data. On the somewhat longer time scale, it allows the more thoughtful analysis of the data, the integration of the data into computer programs that then allow you to draw deductions which will actually tell you how much the sea level will rise. Scientific investigations today are done globally and collaboratively, and cyber infrastructure is the electronic mechanism to enable e-science. Glaciers hadn't changed much for 100,000 years. Unfortunately, over the last 5 years or so, they've started to change drastically, and in a fashion that's somewhat alarming because they're melting. And their melting, of course, leads to an increase of the sea level.
The Polar Grid cyber infrastructure will transform this situation by enabling the collection, processing, and evaluation of huge amounts of data in real time. Data are collected in the field from mobile sensors and are returned to a massive base camp computing facility for examination. The processed data are then transferred electronically to CRESIS scientists working at university simulation and analysis centers. The data are used both to check and to refine sensor operation and to create up-to-the-minute climate models.
I love telling people that I'm going to save the world. And being on that bloody edge, so to speak, of technology, there's some challenges. Sometimes it can get frustrating, but there's no greater joy than seeing that technology used somewhere else. It's amazing.
Cyber infrastructure is a very democratic technology. So we can have a very small University Elizabeth City State leading the cyber infrastructure for that experiment.
The techniques that we are developing here, the capability that we're developing here, will bring aboard those institutions that have in the past not had the opportunity to participate in these scientific investigations.
Under leadership provided by the National Science Foundation Major Research Instrumentation Program, the Polar Grid project will support a critical element of national research, linking the real-time acquisition of polar ice sheet data with the research experts who can exploit the data to understand and cope with the rapid global climate changes challenging our world.